So let's take a look at the web browser. Now this is a 3G device. US Cellular is building out their 4G network, but this is a 3G device, and I don't know what we're doing on that page. Let's go to Phone Dog. And as you can see, I'm roaming right now, which I'm not sure why, because according to US Cellular's coverage maps, I'm in excellent coverage areas. But anyway, regardless of that, I'm still getting 3G speed, so this will still be pretty good speed test. So we're loading up phonedog.com right now, and an interesting thing about the phone is that it does not support multi-touch for pinch to zoom. So you can see as I scroll here, you still have the on-screen zoom buttons, which is what you'll have to use when in the web browser or in the gallery, anything like that. Kind of interesting. I'm not entirely sure why Huawei decided to leave that out, but just a note. It's not a major frustration, but it is a feature, or rather a lack thereof. So phonedog.com is kind of loading right now. You can see some of I do have Flash and plugins turned on, so those are still loading. But as you can see, scrolling is smooth even while the page is still loading. It's slightly choppy, but not really. And then zooming in is pretty smooth. And of course, when you do the manual zoom, it usually is a lot more smooth, and it also helps the phone to render the text onto the window that you've resized it to. But for a free low-end Android smartphone, it's decent and it's usable. It's about what you'd expect. Now again, let me show you my 3G speeds. It is a 3G device. I'm in the Dallas area. That's where I've been testing it out. Now, obviously speeds and coverage, call quality, those things are going to vary a lot depending on coverage in your area. So, these are the speeds that I got, but this could be completely different for you. You can see though that the speeds have actually been pretty good, generally about 400 megabits per second, which is good. And then we have a high of 600 here. I do have a couple of lows of like 24 and then 97. I actually meant to say not megabits per second, kilobits per second. So as you can see, the speeds are pretty decent, but again, this could vary depending on coverage in your area. But I've been pretty pleased with the speeds. And like I said, the web browser, decent for a low-end device. So let's move over to the back of the phone now, and we'll talk about this camera. It's a 5-megapixel camera. There is no front-facing camera, so it's a rear-facing camera only. The disappointing thing about this camera is that there's no autofocus. There's no flash, which is kind of to be expected, but there's no autofocus. And so without the autofocus, and then considering the quality of the lens, even though it is a 5-megapixel camera, it's a budget-friendly phone, so the lens quality also isn't that great. But you're really at the mercy of a steady hand and excellent lighting, and even then pictures are still grainy. I have a couple of examples here, and you can kind of see this is with great lighting, but still a very grainy picture. And then if you don't have good lighting, it's going to look even worse. Outside shots, as you can see, are great because you have sunlight, you have just the great color showing up. The detail is still kind of lacking, but for the most part, it does offer decent outside shots. But again, the lack of autofocus, and then the lack of and then having the cheap lens quality, it was kind of disappointing. Now, is that enough to make me not recommend the phone, considering that it is a low-end phone and it is free? Probably not, because like I said, this is pretty much the quality that you can expect with a low-end phone. However, that being said, and as I mentioned previously, US Cellular has other phones that are in this price range, or maybe $50 more, that will offer much better quality. So I don't necessarily think it's a huge negative for this particular phone, but then again, you can get better, and so I will say that. But I was generally disappointed by the camera. Even for a low-end phone, I did expect a little bit better. It does capture video, VGA quality video though, so really nothing impressive. In my testing, audio and video quality was just terrible. So again, going back to the phone here, or the back of the phone, we'll take off the battery cover, take a look at some of this memory, the battery. As you can see, it does ship with a 2 gigabyte micro SD card, and then you can add another card if you like to. It supports up to 32 gigs of additional memory, so that's nice to have. Here we have the battery. It is a 1400 milliamp hour battery, which is somewhat small. However, I figured since it's a low-end device, doesn't have a lot of processing power, the display is rather small and not a high resolution display, I kind of guessed that battery life would be decent. And on standby, with minimal use, basically of just having notifications running in the background, having it check my email, and then with widgets, but still not really using it too much, I did manage to get about a day and a half of use, if you like to call that use, because it's basically just things running in the background. But I did manage to get about a day and a half. But once I started using the device and testing, downloading apps, listening to music, sending emails, taking pictures, I did notice the battery drop significantly. I started out with 60%, and then within 20 to 30 minutes it dropped down. And again, battery life is one of those things that it is going to vary a lot depending on your usage habits. So as you can see, I have a weather widget here. I'm using Huawei's social stream widget, and then I have an email widget here. So I have quite a few things running in the background on top of things like Twitter, email, other things syncing in the background. So I do have a lot running. So for you, the battery may last longer, but for me with use, it was difficult to get through a full day with normal use. So a couple of other, extra notes here. If we go to the app drawer, you'll see that the phone does come with a lot of apps pre-installed out of the box. You have things like City ID, Documents to Go, Audible, an FM radio, Latitude, My Contacts Backup. You can see there's quite a few apps pre-installed out of the box, and you can't uninstall these apps. So if I go to the settings here, you're going to notice that you can't uninstall them. The phone has 160 megabytes of internal memory, and then you have the 2 gig card included. But since you can't uninstall them, a lot of that memory is taken up. So having the micro SD card slots will definitely help, because you're probably going to maybe get a larger card if you do install a lot of apps. But just so you know, those pre-installed apps cannot be uninstalled. One more interesting note, if you noticed before, it does come with the Amazon App Store installed out of the box. So if you have an Amazon account, you can use that, or you can get an Amazon account. These are Android apps that you get from the Amazon App Store. One of the nice features is that you do have the free app of the day. It's usually a paid app. You can get it for free. So kind of interesting that it comes with that out of the box. Now you do still have access to the official Android market. Go away. Okay. So here's the the official Android market. You do still have access to it, but if you enjoy Amazon's market, you have access to that out of the box. So that is pretty much it, guys, with the Huawei Ascend 2 from US Cellular. You can get it for free right now. Would I recommend it? Probably not, just because, like I've said, US Cellular has better options, like the HTC Merge, which I believe is free, Samsung, the Galaxy S device for US Cellular, which is the Samsung Mesmerize. Even though that phone is kind of old in cell phone years, the specs and the hardware is still much better than the Ascend 2, and I believe it's only $50. So the Ascend 2 is a typical low-end phone with sluggish performance and not really anything impressive overall, but it's a great price. Still, that being said, US Cellular has better budget options, and so I would look into something else besides the Ascend 2. But there it is, guys. Keep it on phonedog.com. If you have any questions about this phone, you can send me a message or follow me on Twitter. My screen name is phonedog_Sydney. I will be posting my written review of the Ascend 2. I may include some things I didn't have time to get to in the video review. But thanks, guys, for watching. I'm Sydney from phonedog.com, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.